Code Geass. Yep, it's this one. Seems like a lot of people don't really like this one, or at least don't like R2. I'll have to get to that, though, at some point. To start off with, this is actually something that I've actually enjoyed, something I've actually been hoping for, because once I learned that, the designs were being done by Clamp, I thought, holy crap, so this is like Clamp for guys then. Sweet. Now I can say, hey everybody, I watch Clamp, and not be a weirdo freak. Not that watching Clamp is a weirdo freak trait. Anyway, I actually kind of like this one. I'm not really into mechs that much. I feel like it's halfway a mech anime, but it's alright. It's a good watch. My favorite character would have to be Suzaku Kudadugi. That's sort of a weird name, Kudadugi. I remember back when the Inuyasha game came out, this name was always a hard one to pronounce. And it wasn't until Code Geass came around where I actually learned how to officially pronounce that name. Or at least officially pronounce it in a way I could comprehend. I don't know. So I always thought that name was sort of hard to pronounce. Of course, when you're in a fan dub where you have to get used to saying Kudiden, then I guess, you kind of pick one thing up after the other and, But yeah, Suzaki's my favorite character. I'm not entirely sure why. Part of it is because he's voiced by Takahiro Sakurai in the Japanese version. In English, he's voiced by Yuri Lowenthal. I don't know. I just think he's cool. And I kind of like how he's sort of a knight sort of person that doesn't come around until R2. But, I think he's pretty cool. And, both voice actors did a pretty nice job of, of their roles. Lelouch is also a pretty interesting character. I can't help but compare him to Light Yagami. I don't know. I feel like they're sort of similar characters. They both want to make their world a better place, but they're ultimately, crazy. And ultimately, they both end up dying, but I don't mean to spoil anything. Like I said in the beginning video, there were gonna be spoilers, or at least I think I said that. But just in case you guys didn't know, there will be spoilers in these videos. If you've seen the Berserk one, you probably already know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I kind of like, just the way this anime looks. It was just a nice little watch. I also thought it was kind of funny where, they would switch between, I feel like they were switching between two different sides. Like, the Lelouch side, and then, there'd be, another group like that, Lloyd guy voiced by Liam O'Brien. With his usual, hello, I'm Liam O'Brien, that kind of voice that he always does. For, every character. With that one girl, Cecilia. Is it Cecilia? Or, I think, no, Cecile. She was a nice lady. I liked her suit. I mean, it was a military uniform, so it wasn't as good as a school uniform, but, regardless, she was a pretty attractive character. But yeah, I felt that the story was, nice. I mean, I didn't really pay that much attention to it. I kind of lasted for the first season. I would try to catch the episodes on Adult Swim, but then they moved it to the 2 o'clock time slot, which probably now I could handle because I've been staying up till 2 lately. But besides that, I think I stay up till 2 to watch it once. And then I said, you know what, screw this, I'm going to go find a website where I can watch it. And then I found honeydubs.com, then I moved over to adultswim.com where the quality was a little bit better. I mean, ultimately, I think I'll probably just get the DVDs if I want to watch it. I have Volume 1 DVDs, which, while we're on the subject of that, I need to mention something about voice acting. On the Volume 1 DVD, there's a commentary with the Japanese voice actors, including Jun Fukuyama, the guy who does Lelouch, which, alone is a very interesting role because, one, Jun Fukuyama is known for doing roles like, the Onion Knight or, Kyle Dunamis in Tales of Destiny 2, these younger character roles, and here he is doing this low voice role, which he actually sounds pretty good, and it's kind of funny, You hear him. I mean, if any of you guys played Tales of Destiny 2 and remember seeing where Kyle imitates Gar, we only get a slight taste of that in that game, but in Code Geass, we get a full friggin' anime series of Jun Fukuyama doing this friggin' low voice with the dose of Takahiro Sakurai. Anyway, and they're talking about how, voice acting helps them lose weight, which in my opinion is a very, very odd thing. Voice actors, I believe, don't really lose weight from voice acting. Of course, in Japan, they take it seriously. That's just something I felt was a little relevant since it came from Code Geass. They talk about how, like, when they get home, they just stuff themselves. When, of course, I just recently watched a video about Vic Mignogna after he voice acts, he freaking goes to sleep. Anyway. Before I forget, I should probably mention how I got into this anime. This is going along with my taste in music, but I got into this anime when I saw a Star Ocean AMV that used the theme song Colors by Flow, that was used in Code Geass. I was like, oh, this song really fits, and I really liked it. And I looked for the song, downloaded it, and I put a mental note of where it came from. Like, it was the opening for Code Geass, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And so, I kind of did a little bit of research on Code Geass. I understand that a lot of people were fans of it. It almost seemed like it was one of like how there's always like that big anime that all of your anime friends are watching on the internet. And of course, then it got dubbed with Johnny Young Bosch at Lelouch as usual, which I think was a pretty good role for him. It was a nice show. So I kind of watched a few clips and I decided, I'm just gonna wait. I didn't really think about it. Then it got done. It's like, oh, cool! I'll get to watch this. And so, I watched it, and that's really how that started. It's a pretty good show. Overall, I do like the music. I do like Flow. Like I think I've mentioned before, they're one of my favorite Japanese music groups. I listen to them a lot. I feel like they've gotten slightly better, yet slightly worse in their music. But anyway, yeah, that's really all I have to say about Code Geass. Oh yeah, R2. I kind of what I'm trying to say is I kind of went out of a. What I'm trying to say is droned out, but I don't even think that's a word. I kind of stopped watching after the first episode of R2. It's like, whatever. I don't know. I just stopped caring. And I think a lot of people didn't really like R2. I remember that Lelouch had his little brother who got the Geass, but couldn't get rid of it, and he was voiced by Spike Spencer in Japanese. Then he gets killed, and Shirley gets killed and whatnot. Then at the end, Lelouch gets killed. And I even remember there was a rumor going around of there's going to be an R3 with Suzaku as the main character. It's I don't know. I mean, R2 sort of ended the series. I saw the last episode of it on Adult Swim, or I took notice of it because I had seen it before, and Trans Angel had seen it before, and he kind of spilled the beans on me about, what happens in the story. Anywho, so yeah, I do plan on getting the DVDs one day and maybe watching the entire thing. But, one day, I don't know, maybe. That's really all I have to say about the series. I'd recommend it, both English and Japanese. It really depends on which celebrity you want to hear. Do you want to hear Johnny Young Bosch and Yuri Lowenthal, or do you want to hear Jun Fukuyama and Takahiro Sakurai? It's really up to you. Personally, if I could, Takahiro Sakurai, but it's not his Cloud voice, which is the voice I actually truly like out of all of his voices. And maybe even his Mega Man X voice that he did once, but overall, this is probably going over, but whatever. So yeah, go watch this anime. This is Flemzeron. I will see you later.